Lo-Fi Horror Guys Growing on Your Life, Season 14 is sponsored by Toxic Coffin. Toxic Coffin is two horror-loving dudes, Lance and Steven. They make horror and Halloween goods to explode your brain. Each shirt is curated with its own experience to make you stoked on your favorite movie or time of year. Follow Toxic Coffin at toxic_coffin on social medias or at their shop at toxiccoffin.com. Once again, at toxic_coffin or at their shop at toxiccoffin.com.
Rainy here. Mike, what is going on, dude?
What's up, brother?
Hell yeah. First off, man, thank you very, very much for your time today.
No worries.
How sick. I really appreciate this, man.
No problem. I'm glad to be here, man. Looking forward to it.
Sick. All right. So what we do here, basically, kind of a rundown. Initially, I have one introduction question for you, and then we have the remainder of the interview, which is about you and your craft, your career in music. Some of the bands will kind of be focusing some on the newer Extinction A.D. and This Is Hell, but digging into some of the other things as well. And then I have one finale that I wrote just for this episode, man. So if you're all set and comfy, get this bad boy on a rolling, huh?
Got it. Let's roll.
All right. My wife and I do some traveling. If we ended up over your way, somewhere local, what's a restaurant or a eatery that we would have to stop by, and what would be an item that you would say is a favorite?
Oh man, I mean, clearly that's like one of my favorite topics to ever talk about, so I have plenty of answers for that. But man. So some of the older guys in the Long Island hardcore scene, kind of now almost like run an entire town in Long Island called Huntington Station and Huntington Village, and they all own really good restaurants, and one of them just opened up a really good spot named 1653 Pizzeria in Huntington Station. And even around that entire like little block area, some guys from the bands Shepherds, November Kills, like all these guys that we used to play with when we were kids, own restaurants called the Rust and Gold, Vauxhall. It's a burger spot. They're all really sick, and they're all just doing great stuff. So I would recommend just going to Huntington Village and pick a spot, because there's like 4 or 5 great spots that are all ran and owned by homies, and it's just a cool thing to see. You know what I mean? There's just dudes that we've been playing music with since we were like 17, and now just restaurateurs and just kicking ass down there. It's really cool. So I'd recommend going to Huntington Village, and take your pick. You'll find a good spot.
Cool. And it's such a cool thing. I mean, as far as I was having a conversation a couple of days ago with a buddy, and just kind of where the hardcore community takes you, even if it isn't something to where you're in bands, for years after, you wind up having something like that. It's like, oh shit, man, like I haven't seen you in forever, and now you're doing something cool like that. It's sweet how like sometimes some of that shit spawns out into different angles, but always, cool stuff. So that's fun to know a little bit of a backstory.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I feel like every other year they just these old friends just open up a new spot. It's just like, all right, I gotta try this one. And it's just next thing you know, it's like I only go to spots that these people run and own now, and it's inspiring to say the least. I mean, they just bust their ass and they do what they got to do, and they're successful, and it's really cool to see.
And I think something to credit to that I have always had in the back of my mind is the do-it-yourself mentality. The way of driving up to a spot, and there's nothing really like that. And I feel like there's more and more, I guess the older that I get with working in jobs and different things, you see that where you kind of, I have credited that kind of mobility into like, okay, well, this is fucked. How do I make it work?
Yeah. Trust me, we've all been there. We've all been there recently too.
Yeah.
Still there.
Yeah. So as far as digging into your personal interests, I wanted to go with when you're a little kid, even before your interest in music maybe even started. What were some things that kind of perked your ears and resonated with you early on, even before maybe even heavy music?
I mean, one of my first vivid memories, my parents had an old, like, credenza-style record player and a whole lot of records that never really made any sense to me because they didn't really listen to that much music. But they had a really, really cool small record collection, and one of the things I distinctly remember is, obviously, as a kid, I have the things that are going to pique my interest that started young, and for some reason my parents had Ride the Lightning in this credenza, and it made no sense. And I listened to it, and I was like, young as hell, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is amazing. And that's kind of what started me on it. And then I dug into a little bit more of that that cabinet and I found Iron Butterfly, and I got a DeVita, and I'm like, well, this is rad. That was the first drum solo I ever heard. And then I guess this might say something about my personality. Maybe it won't, but they had the Cheech and Chong record in there too, and that shit made me laugh my ass off. I didn't understand what I was listening to, but it killed me, and that's probably like the first introduction to music, records, that whole type of all the culture of it, and I thought it was great. And then I guess like starting, I just wanted to play that Inagata DeVita drum solo, and that just started that. And then I had pillows and cans, and off to the races after that. You know what I mean? It just didn't stop, for better and for worse. I just kept on going and try to figure it out and play and learn more shit, and that's just kind of how it went. And that's how I would probably say that's. And then by the time I was ready to show more interest in, that's when I was, stuck in front of the TV watching MTV all the time trying to find cool videos.
Yeah, okay.
Probably how it started.
Yeah, you're like, shit, there it was.
Yeah.
With Cheech and Chong, was that like a movie soundtrack, or was that like a comedy special?
That was a comedy. That was a comedy. It was a comedy. It was a comedy record. It was a comedy vinyl. One of the distinct things I remember was just one of the skits was called Sister Mary Elephant. I implore anybody to try to look at this. And it was just my mom really told me about that because my mom went to Catholic school in Brooklyn, and she would just laugh about it because it was just kind of like a really sweet sounding teacher that was trying to get a hold of a loud class, and the whole skit was just her like, guys, let's talk. Can we talk quieter? Can we pay attention? class. And then all of a sudden the most blood-curdling scream that you would ever hear in your life. And it was just like, shut up! And I was a child, and it made me laugh so hard because I've never heard anything like it. And anytime I hear a huge scream or anything like that, me and my mom always joke around about like Sister Mary Elephant, somebody that has like a loud, stupid, scary voice. And it's just... Yeah, it was the first comedy album I've ever heard in my entire life. And the cool thing about that vinyl is that it came with a rolling paper, and I didn't know what the fuck a rolling paper was. So I don't know if we still have it. But it might be in my parents' attic at some point. I don't know. But yeah, it had a rolling paper and everything. It was fucking cool.
Holy shit! I mean, especially from like being like at that time and being released with something like that, like that's kind of that's pretty sketchy for those times. Like I can see that shit happening nowadays because it's a little bit more of a kind of loose amenity, I guess, so to speak.
For sure.
Damn, that's pretty wild shit.
Yeah, that was in the 70s, man. Like that was my mom and dad had that record in the 70s, and I don't know if they told me it was a rolling paper when I was like 5 or 6, but I figured it out at some point, and I was just like, well, that's fucking cool. Those guys are way ahead of their time, to say the least.
You're like, do I just is this like a paper airplane that
I was saying, write some notes? I'm like, oh, that skit was funny. Maybe I should write my own. Like, is this paper to write my own comedy skits? Because if I get no, it was not. Not at all. God.
All right. So from there, kind of continuing on with records and things, So imagining your local record shop, when you were younger and scouring through, even maybe if it was a little bit later and it was a CD shop. What were local music shops that you would frequent to get your music?
All right. So I had to write notes because I'm not good at organizing thoughts. So the first place by me that I distinctly remember, there's 2 on Long Island. I think there still might be 2. It was called Utopia. And Utopia were the places that, I mean, I know my parents never wanted me to go because they considered them head shops, in the 90s and all that shit. And, I mean, they weren't. They were record stores, but it had, questionable things in there as well for that time period.
Right.
But, Utopia had Utopia was like Hot Topic before Hot Topic was like mainstream in Long Island.
Okay.
And I would go in there and I would naturally gravitate towards, all the weird shit that my parents would not want me to see. I'm distinctly going straight to the 9 Inch Nails record, the Maiden records. I remember it sucked because I didn't give this band its due until I was much older. Napalm Death, I thought it was like the coolest name ever and the sickest then the greatest logo. but I didn't even get into them. I mean, full disclosure, I probably really didn't start listening to them heavily until maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. And I'm like, shit.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, this sucks. I should have been in on this band so long ago. They're amazing.
Yeah.
But then I don't know what it was like for other people in high school, but you know, when you were into that type of stuff, like putting patches on obviously the patches on the backpack and all that shit. So like I had my friend's parents take me to Utopia with him one day so I could get the Tool patch that I wanted for my backpack. And the Tool patch was the wrench.
The wrench?
That was shaped as a dick and balls. You know what I'm saying? So, and that was on my red JanSport all of 2 days before my fucking parents made me take it off. So, that's how that happened. And I mean, I had everything that like I shouldn't. I just had everything. I had a stupid spectrum of shit on my backpack. Like I had like Manson, Zombie, Korn, Pantera, Slayer, Alice in Chains, and then Tool all on my backpack. Like it was just a complete fucking mishmash of shit.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't buy records at that age because I didn't necessarily. I wasn't really interested in vinyl. I had CD players and I just kept on buying all this stuff. And then there's a spot in Long Island that's still there. That's kind of like an institution called Looney Tunes. And is, I can't remember what town it's in. I think it's Farmingdale. And they've been around forever. A lot of bands do promo there. A lot of bands do acoustic shows there. Like I saw Baroness do an acoustic show there right before the pandemic hit. And it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. A lot of people do signings there. And that's one of the spots that, you know, that would be like almost like a pilgrimage for me and my friends when we were younger because it was far away. But it was that place is one of the coolest things. And then luckily, like, you know, where I moved to now, I have a place that's like a mile away called the Record Stop. And that's got great places there, like great stuff in there. And I try to go there like once a month and pick up some new stuff. Yeah, so like as soon as I moved over here, I went there. I'm like, oh shit, I realized this is close. And I bought like the new Rotting Christ record, and I'm like, this is sick. And then like I listened because I like when I moved, I got my uncle's same type of thing, like credenza record player, like old 70s thing, and I'm just like all psyched on buying vinyl now. I mean, I don't buy a lot because I got bills to pay, but it's just like it's super. It's cool to get into it now, and it's just, you know, because it's my house. It's like I'm almost like taking it back to like how I started with my parents, like how I got introduced to it and shit like that. So it's kind of cool.
Nice. Yeah, definitely.
And then naturally, like all the T-shirts and shit like that, all the other cool stuff that record stores have. But those are like my first memories.
Yeah, right. You know, for the longest time, it was always annoying being at a record shop and you'd see like the sickest fucking shirt. Like it was a band that you would never see merch for, and it was like 4X. You know, it's like
always. Always was.
Who the fuck is wearing this?
And it's always for the bands that we listen to. Always.
Yeah, right.
It's just like, oh, this Six Slayer Seasons of the Abyss record. It's like a record album shirt. It's like, yeah, 4X. It's like, I'm 15, man. Like, I'm not 4X yet. I got close. I certainly got close. Yeah. But I'm not 4X yet.
Oh, shit. Oh, yeah. Well, the troubles you never understand. Before the internet, you know, the troubles that you had to go through this shit. Or I had friends that used to go and they'd try to trim it down and sew it back up, and the thing's fucking half crooked, and it never worked. You just
dude, I'm the worst at cutting sleeves. And if you need to talk to a professional sleeve cutter, you already talked to Rick. That motherfucker, he's got it down to a science. Like when you get shirts and it's like, oh, it's too big. It's like, cut the sleeves off. I'm like, all right, you cut the sleeves off. Because he does it perfect. I don't think he owns shirts with sleeves on it at this point. But yeah, man. I had this one Most Precious Blood shirt. Ooh. That's like a 4X that I cut down so much that I forgot what band I was playing for, and I would use it as my show. Oh, it was definitely, I know it was On Earth, because Buzz would say it all the time, and he would call me Nipplepotamus, because my tits would be hanging out every single time I'd be playing, and I'm like, all right, maybe it's time for a new show shirt.
Oh my god! I mean, that's got to be what, you know. I can't lose this thing, but dear Lord, you know, it gets to that point where you're getting ragged on all the time. You're like, fuck, I gotta retire it.
Yeah, no, I still have it.
My
It's
God.
it's packed under some shit, but it ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Along with that kind of, the whole, pre-internet and different things, what was a band that you discovered, maybe something that you love even today through maybe cover art or going to a CD shop and seeing maybe like a show flyer, or a band that you love and you were looking through the thank you notes? Have any of these things, have you discovered a band that you love now today still?
I mean, the way I discovered music, I mean, do you remember Columbia House?
Oh yeah, yep.
That's really how I discovered new tunes. Aside that from and MTV,
okay.
like for all its faults, MTV in the '90s introduced me to a lot of shit that I still will listen to today. I mean,
oh yeah.
Like as far as cover art goes, like like I said, like I was saying earlier, like Maiden, Napalm Death. I was really like contemplating when I was writing down notes not to make every answer a Pantera answer, but like
Yeah.
Far Beyond Driven like terrified me. I thought it was so cool.
Totally.
Fear Factory cover art was always really sick. And I don't listen to them that often, but like I'll always look at that artwork, and like when I was younger, all like the mechanical stuff like was super interesting to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I wasn't too deep on everything that I'm into now then. It took me some time, you know what I mean? Like I definitely was a product of being a fan of what I was fed for a little while, like through MTV, through all that other stuff. And then as time went on, me and my friends, like my first band, and like that's when we got into like deeper stuff like Morbid Angel and Pantera by going to shows. I didn't know who Morbid Angel was until I went to the Extreme Steel tour with Slayer and Pantera, and I was just like, what in the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Like Pete Sandoval comes on stage with his fucking platform boots on and plays his kick faster than anything I've ever heard in my entire life. And I'll never forget, me and my dudes were front row on the barrier, and he starts sound checking, and I'm just like this. and they're all looking at me smiling, and I'm like, yeah, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
And like I didn't even know that like double kick existed. I didn't know any of this shit yet. Like it was just it floored me.
Yeah, totally.
But it took me a while to get into like that type of stuff. But like, not necessarily generic, but like the classic mainstays of like, Maiden, Pantera, Far Beyond Death. I thought like Pretty Hate Machine was one of the coolest covers that I've ever seen in my life. And I'll love that record for as long as I live. And that's like one of my distinct memories of like record stores was like Nine Inch Nails stuff.
Yeah.
Because like when you sent me when we talk about these questions, like I wanted to write down the first things that came to my mind because those have to be the answers, right?
Right.
And this is the stuff that came up, and I haven't thought about these things in a long time. So it's really cool to like bring this type of shit up. So that would probably be my first introduction to that stuff. But I mean, MTV's like Spring Break, like Primus '96, like that introduced me to Primus, and I'm like, who is this? Yes. And Primus is one of my favorite bands of all time. Like hands down, I have no problem admitting that. Like that band fucking rules. And then
My Name Is Mud video.
Yeah, all of their videos.
Remember that one? Oh man,
all of their videos.
But that video in particular, it might have even been on Beavis and Butthead. And I just remember still to this day haunting, like the fucking carnival walking by, and I'm just like,
it's so creepy.
What the fuck is this?
It's so creepy, but it's also comedic at the same point, which is just kind of like that. I mean, you kind of just described Claypool right there. Like it's just it's one of the most creative psychopathic minds in all of music ever.
Yeah,
I think
I love it. I love it. You mentioned the what tour was it? It was Morbid Angel, Static. Was it Static X?
Yep.
Is that the
Morbid? It was all right. I'm gonna forget. I'm gonna fuck up the opener. I think. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah. Dude, I loved that band for like all of 5 months, and I got so much. I got so much shit for that band. So much shit for liking them because during the show, like I've been in this position before, and now I get it. But they opened, and they got torched from the fucking crowd. Like, they were not received well, and the drummer fucking was not having it. Like, I'll never forget it. He, like, was berating the crowd because he had a headset mic, because that was all the rage then. and he's like, he was getting so pissed that people were heckling him, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I was just like, oh, poor guys, or like, this is rough. Like, I felt bad. But then I listened to it back, and I got one of their records from Columbia House, and I'm like, all right, this isn't all that bad. And then, like, you know, a year went by, I'm like, all right, this is pretty bad. But it was Scrape, Static X, Morbid Angel, Slayer, Pantera.
Yep. Actually, it was funny you brought up that concert because I had gone to, you know, smaller local things or whatever. That was the first metal concert I had ever gone to. It was on my 13th fucking birthday.
That's amazing.
And it was insane. It was actually like just a life-changing moment in my life.
That is the best way to describe it. Like, Slayer, like, at that point, Slayer wasn't like my favorite band in the world, but I obviously loved it. Pantera is the only thing that mattered to me at that point in my life.
They dropped down the curtain with all like the blood right before Raining Blood.
Yeah, dude. And then in Pantera, they opened up the curtain. Like, I remember before the curtain, I was like peeking, trying to see the people walking behind the stage because we were front row. I legitimately thought my ribs were gonna get broken during the show because I was young. I was a kid. I was in middle school. I think I was in 6th grade.
Okay.
I think maybe. I honestly don't remember. But I was on the barricade. I thought my ribs were going to get broken. And then they dropped down the fucking curtain. Reinventing the Steel is on fire. They're opening up with Hellbound. Yeah. And I was just like, this is easily the most amazing and like symbolic cheesy shit. I was so psyched. I took my earplugs out and threw them on the fucking stage. Dude, this is the
last thing I'm ever hearing.
Yeah. If I died that day, I would have been fine. I mean, I had my whole life ahead of me, but like, that was fine. You know what I mean? But it was an amazing experience. And then, you know, everything that happened afterwards, like, I am beyond grateful that I at least got to see them once. You know what I mean? It was because they are my favorite band of all time. And if I would have not been able to see them once, I would have been so fucking mad. So mad.
Yeah. I saw them. That was my first show ever. And then I caught them one more time on their finale tour there.
Okay.
And that was so sick too. But, you know, and Slayer has always been, I would say, my introduction to fast, you know, whether it's thrash or speed metal, they were, I mean, that's always, you know, my go-to band. So
I agree. I was Pantera before. I was Pantera before Slayer. I think I heard Far Beyond Driven before I heard anything else. Okay. And then we graduated to, like, I remember when my best friends showed me Rain in Blood and or was it Angel of Death? It was one of those two in front of his girlfriend's house. I'm like, well, fuck. I'm like, this is the shit. And then, I mean, I saw Slayer like more times than I can fucking count. And whatever anyone wants to say about them, I could care less. They deliver every single time. And I don't know. It's just those two are definitely the top two of my big four, hands down.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I love that. So as far as, in one of your interviews here, you had mentioned the basket case video, you know, as far as, you know, kind of your introduction into, you know, really honing in on playing drums. I wanted to go back a little bit as far as, you know, how did your first kit come about? You know, after you were really serious about it, how, you know, where did you get that from and what was it? What kind was it?
So when I was tired of playing on pillows and coffee cans, which, like, that's cliched, but that's exactly what I did. Like, I can't even make that up. That's what I did. My across the street neighbor was moving, and the husband always played drums. And I was always just like, that's cool. And I would just listen to it. And he was having a yard sale. They were having a yard sale before they moved. And I just went up to her name, Brighty. I went up to the wife and I'm like, hey, what's going on with that drum set? And she just goes, oh, I didn't even think of that. And then goes to the husband. I can't remember his name. And he's just like, yeah. He's like, yeah, do you want it? Like, I don't want to travel with it. And it's $300. I begged my parents. It was a 3-piece. Red Sparkle, 60s Ludwig.
Oh my God.
And if I knew then what I knew now, that would be it would be in a glass case right now. As opposed to me ripping it apart for parts when I needed stuff. And then when I was in college, my mom sold it off. No fault on her, but it was just like I didn't realize, I did not know what I had at the time. So neither did they. Neither did my mom or dad.
Just sitting there, and I mean that's kind of a common thing.
Oh my god, dude! Like that, I wish like it had the spurs, like the old school spurs on the kick for the feet. It had the like that curved little tom attachment on top of the kick. The wood, I don't know how it was finished on the inside of the shell, but it almost looked like plastic, like that plastic solution.
And the date stamped?
Yes, the date stamp, dude. It had everything. It was legit 1960s red sparkle classic Ludwig, and it's like I think about that shit, and I get like teary eyed. I'm like, damn it. I'm like, how did I not know what I had when I had it? But that's like
I mean, it was totally a different time, you know. Like we didn't have access to all this shit. You know, nowadays you can literally go on and look at a barcode or some shit, and it tells you, you know, like what second and who made it. You know, I mean, it's totally a different thing too. And I've had a lot of things that I've regretted letting go. But yeah, I mean, shit. That's a big one.
Dude, it was rough, and it was cool, man. Because like as time went on, like I wanted the best stuff, and I would never be able to afford it. My parents would never be able to afford it. But like, you know, classic story. Every birthday, every holiday, it was another cymbal. It was another cymbal stand. Like so, years went by, and I would get it, and then when I think back now, I'm trying to figure out. Like I was writing notes about like the first stuff that I was trying to play. I'm figuring out how to play like Slayer and Fear Factory shit on a 3-piece Ludwig classic, and I'm like, I didn't smoke when I was younger, but like I had like a rebellious 3 weeks of wanting to try cigarettes when I was like in 6th or 7th grade, and I would hide the cigarettes in my bass drum in my bedroom. That's where that was. And like I would knock all like the shit on the walls downstairs. Like in like every other day, I'd break my mom like some of my mom's glasses. My dad collects shot glasses, like that shit. So those are like my first memories of playing at home. So that was funny.
I mean, when you were first starting out, what were some things that, you know, maybe jumping right on you could play with right away, and then, you know, something that you kind of had to hone in on to practice, and, you know, maybe even a song or an album to play with?
Well, when I started in bands in 3rd grade, like with the snare drum and all that stuff, I didn't start playing drum set until I got that, which I think was around 5th grade. And then I just started playing records. Like I didn't take lessons ever. I've never taken a drum set lesson until I was like, you know, maybe like 24. And then I just figured out how to play stuff. I'm trying to remember like the first, I want to say, I mean, obviously, you know, like Smells Like Teen Spirit. Like I remember playing that. One of the distinct things that I remember trying to play after obviously the basket case, like I said, that overhead shot of him doing that fill, like that is where it's just like, well, shit, I want to play drums. But I went back on Spotify today to figure out what song it was off the obsolete record for Fear Factory.
Ooh.
What the hell was it? Fucking Christ. Securitron.
Oh my God.
Didn't know what double bass was at that point.
Oh. Okay.
I'm playing the in the beginning, and I'm like, I'm like, how's he doing this? Because I hear the bell of the ride, but I only have 2 hands and I'm only using 1 foot. So how's I'm like, how does this work? I couldn't figure it out, and I didn't realize that. And then I think the way the timeline works, that's when I learned about either 2 bass drums or double kick when I got introduced to like Slayer and all that shit. And then I was like, all right, well, now I need an Iron Cobra, obviously. And then I eventually got an Iron Cobra and then figured it the fuck out.
Yeah. You know, the real struggle too, it's funny you mentioning this, you know, about drums, it was always like when I first got into it, if I had known how much all of this shit was all the time, you know, it's like when a birthday comes or Christmas, like, you know, not to say by any means we were poor or anything, but we weren't well off, where it's like, I'm asking for, you know, for Christmas or something for multiple cymbals. It's like, you're maybe going to get 1 and that'll be for 2 birthdays. You know, it's like, oh, fuck, man, this sucks.
And it's going to be a splash. You're going to get a splash every fucking holiday, bro.
Do you want a coaster? Because you're not going to get anything bigger.
and then as you got older and you wanted like hardware, like you knew which one was good, So like I wanted the Tamaroa Pro. I'm getting the PDP. I opened up the box and I was just like, oh, sick. The single braced boom stand. What the fuck is this? There's no arm. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. I know it sounds so pretentious, but anybody that hears this and plays has sadly been in that same fucking situation.
Dude.
You know,
hands down.
And it builds character, though. You know,
for sure.
Some of those cats that I knew that were going and they're like, man, I want to play drums, and all of a sudden they have a fucking 25-piece Neil Peart special. It's like, well, fuck you, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about what you're playing and what you're into. Get out of here.
Yeah, and you can't, and you don't even play it. I mean, I still get shit from every band I've ever played with. It was just like, yo, do you really need all those cymbals? I'm like, yeah, all right. I worked my ass off for these fucking cymbals. I'm using all these cymbals. Somehow they're all making it into every song.
Right.
I'm using all this shit.
I mean, and some of the covers that you're doing too, with like Run the Jewels and some of that shit too, where like I'm seeing some of the things that I wouldn't necessarily expect and listen to it played with, I'm like, oh my God. Or let's just say probably top 3 favorite Slayer tracks of all time, Payback,
dude.
That you did. I'm like, holy fuck, this is insane.
You know how hard it was to fucking get that cover done? Because it's just like you had to learn. definitely not on a grid in any way. I had to learn how to play it with its imperfections, which I think is the coolest thing ever. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it was so difficult because there's so many, there are a handful of parts where the fills are just so sped up because that's what it is. But that I was dedicated to doing that because that is my favorite Pantera song. They didn't play it for so many years for the longest time, and then all of a sudden they did every time I saw them for the last ladder of their career that I was a fan, that they were still around. I mean,
damn, really?
And dude, I could not believe when God Hates Us All came out, and me and my guys would always see them. We would be screaming for that song in the front row, and it would never happen. And I don't this might be the first time they ever played it, and all the guys in Extinction A.D. and This Is Hell knows what story I'm about to say. We were doing Soundwave. It was Slayer, Metallica, and I mean we added ourselves to the big 4 on that one because Anthrax is there too. But we go to the show and God, Soundwave was one of the coolest tours. They had a whole spot for any artists that had a laminate to hang out up in the balcony and watching. And they did this unreal set, and then all of a sudden they just we hear the opening riff for Payback, and I feel like it had to be one of the first tours that they definitely were playing it, because every fucking Slayer head and person that was psyched that they were there, that knows deep Slayer fans, went absolutely insane at the same time. I was grabbing everybody, you fucking kidding me? No, I remember the guys in Cancer Bats were the same way, everybody was losing their fucking mind. And then the last few times I saw them, I got to see them play, not only see them play, but see Bo Staff playing it. And that's the last time I saw them was in Edmonton, and the last time they played Edmonton. And I honed in and focused on watching him exactly how he did it, so I could do that cover.
Yeah,
and it was it was just Jesus Christ, yeah, it's the hardest song ever written, in my opinion. I don't give a fuck. So good.
Yeah, let me put you in this predicament, and you might even regret this after you answer. Paul Bostoff, Dave Lombardo. Who
dude?
Who do you prefer?
I have to say, I have to go apples and oranges on it. I have to go apples and oranges on it. God Hates Us All is one of the most important records for me, and that was kind of right when I was playing and taking it serious. And Bo Staff is a huge influence on how I play. And then right after that, when he started with Testament, that shit just the way he played was, that's how I wanted to play. That's who I wanted to be.
Yeah.
But Lombardo has this I call it precise sloppiness. You know what I'm saying? He has,
it's almost jazzy.
He's definitely a product. I would love to have a conversation with him. He definitely has to have this huge Buddy Rich influence, because totally. And I have that too. I definitely am a product of him being one of my biggest influences with the way I do fills and stuff like that. It's just that just loose feel, as opposed to just very, very mechanical and precise.
Right.
I think that's the difference between the two of them. But I mean, there are things. But then, like one of my favorite Testament records is The Gathering, and I listen to what Lombardo does on. I listen to what Lombardo does on that record, and it's a little more precise and technical than what I hear on Slayer records. So it's just like, I mean, I think they're both amazing in their own right, but like because God Hates Us All is such a monumental thing for me, I guess I would have to pick Bostaph. Like that's a shitty thing to say, but like it's just because I'm a product of the time. Like that record came out, I could probably play that front to back, studied it, and I just love what he did on it. But I mean, Lombardo Lombardo is also in my Mount Rushmore. So
yeah,
like that's how that goes.
You know, and with them both being in that same band, it's so funny because it kind of feels like sometimes it's like a battle between, you know, different acts. You know, but I think that the easiest way is just for like the timelines, or even thinking of like Paul Bostap's playing on like Diabolus and Musica. People shit on that record all the time, but dude, that album and some of the shit that he's doing on, so solid.
Dude, some of I even think the band, or at least Kerry King, doesn't even like that record. But dude, some of those fucking riffs are just so good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like In the Name of God and what is it? Is it Screaming in the Sky?
Is Ditto Head on? Yeah, of course. God. And then not Bloodlines.
Stain of Mind.
Stain of Mind. Yeah. Like their attempt at new metal.
Yeah.
I'll take a new metal song from Slayer.
Yeah.
Fucking kidding me? It's so good.
I remember him saying in like an interview that's what it was they were kind of like, you know, going with the times and a little bit more of like a new metal approach or something. But like Bitter Peace, as far as album openers, hard to top.
Was Bloodlines on that record? Am I wrong on that? Yeah, Bloodlines on that. No, God, I can't remember what song is on Diabolus that's like kind of like that same type of vibe, because I think they played it live on an MTV. I think it might have been like one of their like extreme sports things, and I'll never forget. It's like one of the funniest. It's like the way Tom Araya just headbangs to it. It's just like, how the fuck? How is he? I mean, that's why his neck is shot now. But I can't. I think it might have been Bloodlines, which is on God Hates Us All. So I might be wrong, but yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, Diabolus. Kerry King did a signing at Looney Tunes, the place that we're talking about.
Oh shit! Okay.
And one of my best friends like went up there to go play. Like he does like, all right, play this riff and I'll show you how to play it. And he goes up there and like tries to play Ditto Head. And he was just like, that's pretty good, right? And then Kerry goes, yeah, it was pretty good. It was wrong. So here's how it was. So good. It was awesome.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh God, and like that's the way we all are. We just love shitting on each other. So when he did that to him, the four of us were just in the back like, oh my God. Kerry King just shit on Phil. It was great.
That is fucking so great. Holy shit. I'm about to knock over my fucking camera. That is so funny. And I mean, thank God that like everybody was, you know, like real just humorous about that too.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure some people would be like, oh, well then fuck you. I don't like you anymore. But I love that. That person.
Oh, dude.
That's great. Shit. Take it for what it is. You know, fucking Kerry King telling you anything about your playing.
Yeah. And then another one of my friends asked, he's like, hey, could you leave my voicemail? And then he goes like this. No. Dude, like the guy's attitude, however you want to talk about it, is still funny. Whether it's mean, rude, or whatever, some of the shit that he says is pretty fucking good. I will say that.
Yeah. Oh, that is fucking hilarious. Oh my God. All right, so moving on from there, let's dig in a little bit as far as like earlier memories, you know, from different categories as far as like joining or making your first band real early on, you know, or playing your first shows. Let's dig into your first band, you know, the first band that you ever maybe even recorded with, played shows with. Where are we going with that?
All right, so the first band I ever started was in 4th and 5th grade, and we never actually played instruments together. We just made it up in class. The band was called Shock. Nothing ever happened about it. The first real band was called Last Conviction from Long Island. It was my best friend Mike, my best friend Phil, Mike's little brother, my best friend, and Brian Audley. If you've ever interviewed any of the guys from Incendiary.
Incendiary, yeah.
Yeah. So the band basically, I may be wrong on how it started, but me and Brian played in jazz band together in middle school. So, and
Oh,
like,
okay. Shit.
yeah, and we'd fuck around playing Rage Against, he played bass at the time, and we'd fuck around playing Rage Against the Machine, probably some Nirvana. I don't, I can't even think of what else we may have screwed around on, but that's how we met. I don't know if that's how Last Conviction started. I can't remember, but that's kind of how it went down. And, we were a product of the times. We were like, Brian always had his hardcore sensibilities and his like, hard riff, not simplistic, but really just like honed in vibe of what he wanted to write and accomplish. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the rest of us was like, yeah, let's fucking do this, that, and the other thing. I'll play like 8 million miles an hour. Like that's kind of how Last Conviction was. And then, if you hear it now, we were just a battering ram of like metalcore, Cannibal Corpse type riffs, and then breakdowns are a thing now. Okay, let's throw a breakdown in it, and that's that's what we were. And like we listen to it now, and it's just really funny, man. Like it's like the pieces are there to be good, but we weren't mature enough to know what we were doing yet. And we did shows, like we tried to do it, like we booked our own tour, like right before GPSs, like we did like MapQuest, booked our own little tour with with This Is Hell's offshoot Soldiers. Like we did shows there. We did Battle of the Bands like in high school and lost to like the Prague band nerds because we did a medley of Slayer, Rage Against the Machine, and a Pantera song. And and I shit you not, the judges card said verbatim, they did not play any happy songs. That's why we lost. That's why we lost.
That's what we're judging on here.
yeah, I guess so. Better times, I guess. They didn't know that we saw what was coming in the future. And then recording wise, the first thing we ever recorded was in a place called Priceless Studios. I can't remember, in Long Island. And then it was just a weird, it was just a normal studio vibe. You had older dudes like, smoking weed. We were young, didn't know what it was. They had this older guy, I'll never forget. His name was Foot. I don't know if he engineered or if he just hung out, but he was there every time. And, we just, we recorded stuff left and right. And then, we recorded at like random friends' basements as time went on, like so many different types of like EPs and, like 2 or 3 song things. And that's just really all it was. And then after that, went to college, did that thing. And then, I said I was going to do whatever I can to start touring right when college was done. And then that's when I joined that band Endwell from Queens.
Yep.
And that was when I first started touring, I didn't write the record that I toured on first with them. But, they grew up like in the same, more or less the same town as the guys in Straight from the Path.
Oh, right. Okay.
And, always friends. And I was always telling them, like, guys, if you know anybody that like wants a drummer now that I'm like home and stuff like that, like I want to start getting on the road. And Tom Williams really hooked me up with getting in contact with them. And it took a little time, a couple weird situations, but I ended up starting to tour with them. And then did that for a number of years, had a great time. Like it was definitely the cliche of like first starting out touring. Like it was the best of times and the worst of times. Like some of the hardest times I've ever laughed in my life is with those guys.
It's like your initiation process,
Yeah,
you gotta go through that shit to actually appreciate when things get a little bit easier, maybe.
Yeah, but we did a lot of cool stuff. First time overseas with them, and those were the funnest times. The music, I like the music still. Like I listened to it back, I'm like, yeah, the shit was pretty cool.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And then that's how that happened. And then over time, the This Is Hell thing happened, because just obviously knowing everybody my whole life, and I think they probably just ran the gamut of drummers around Long Island. I say that to the left. All right, let's ask Mike. I feel like that's kind of how it happened, for better and for worse for them. But yeah, I feel like that's kind of how it rolled. And then, that's everything kind of just started going from there. You know what I mean?
Now, did you meet them when you were on tour with Endwell then? Is that how
no.
it came?
No, no, I knew the guys in This Is Hell just from home, from here.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like I was like loosely friends with Rick before I ever joined This Is Hell. Travis,
Okay.
like less conviction. Like we didn't do much, but we were a band, like a metal band from Long Island. So we did like all the shows. Like we opened for all the bands. Like
Mhm.
like people knew who we were just in the
Right.
area. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then once I started, like earning my medal or whatever the hell they say, like by touring with Endwell, like, all right, this dude does it. If he's available, let's ask him. I have to assume that's how it went. And then, we did the Endwell This Is Hell tour. That was an experience, to say the least. And then things went the way they did, and I just, me and Pete ended up going from Endwell to This Is Hell. And then that's when we started working on Black Mass,
Nice.
Kind of how that went down, yeah.
Okay, nice. Yeah. And so as far as with, talking about touring and playing, live and things like that, I like to dig into, what is like a pre-show ritual? What's something that, that kind of hones you in on going out and playing? Do you do some practice and stretching? What are some things that you do for that?
Definitely stretching a lot. If depending on like the situation, I'll always try to go for a run and get my mind right.
Okay.
I like, God, I mean, as lame as this is going to come off, I played sports my whole life. And like, one of the things that I learned when when I was training, when I was in college, when I was wrestling, like, it's just always like wrestle the match before you wrestle the match. Like, be warm. I would want to do that for shows. Like once like things started getting serious and it's like, we're performing in front of people, not just like 20 dudes.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'd want to basically play the show, or at least the opening of the show, before I got on stage on a practice pad and just, behind the stage. Like, yeah, I'm a big proponent of warming up. Performing is not easy for this type of music. I don't care who you are. Like, it's not the easiest. So I try to, I'm sure, like, you tell, like, with Rick and everything we do, like, we all, like, go to the gym every day. Like, we try to do our thing. And for me, it's more like, it's all more like cardio and like elasticity based, because I'm always just beating the shit out of stuff, but I'm also going a million miles an hour. So it's important for me to be loose, but also be warm. And I do whatever I can, given the situation wherever I'm at, if I could just be that, like, you know what I mean? Like, always be like, prepare my body for impact, because that's what drums are. It's an impact instrument. You're hitting something. I mean, and for the most part, almost as hard as you can for, anywhere between 20 and 70 minutes at a time. So it's just like, your body needs to be prepared for that. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. Like, you have to be prepared for that, because over time, your body can break down. And that's kind of how I look at it. So if we're doing like a run that's like 4 to 6 weeks, it's important to keep your everything in check. Like, booze, shitty food, it's cool, have it, but like, I know that I'm not going to be able to perform well and feel good about it if I'm not warm and taking care of myself. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good. And it's something where too, there's different people who have just straight up practicing or just stretching, or maybe even just sitting and kind of centering. But I just think it's interesting, and as far as myself playing, hearing others and kind of what different people's approaches are, or my man Dave Whitty from Municipal Waste and all that shit, talking about coffee and chocolate. I'm like, that's it. Yeah,
dude. Some people, different. I mean, different strokes for different folks, man. Like, if you got it like that and it works for you, that's awesome. I know for me, the way I play and how I want to be able to play and perform, I need to do these certain things. Yeah, like I have to.
It's the same thing. Yeah,
and that's the way I think about it. Like, if I could drink a ton of beer and just fucking eat a burger 20 minutes before going on stage, maybe I would. But I know I can't. I know I can't.
Right.
Like, I know I won't be able to perform up to snuff. And especially, like, with This Is Hell and Extinction A.D., like, we pride ourselves on precision, Yeah. We really do. We really pride ourselves on playing everything as correct as possible. Mm-hmm. But I like to perform. So if I could play as precise as possible, but also put on a show, that's what I feel like I'm meant to do. I'm supposed to be putting on a show, but playing the goddamn stuff right, because that's what got me on stage to perform.
Yeah.
So
right.
that's the way I approach any band I'm playing. It doesn't matter what type of music. Like, I'm still I want to perform, I want to put on a show, but the music comes first. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, totally.
That's the way I look at that.
With This Is Hell, kind of continuing on that a little bit, I wanted to, dig into, so from like Weight of the World, things kind of transition a little bit more into like a thrashy, a little bit more than what, they were before. And then Black Mass, even more so. Were there things, with yourself being, interested and a fan of speed metal and thrash, were there particular moments in this Black Mass record that you're really excited about, being a part of?
Yeah. Honestly, when I was listening back to it for this, the opening and the ending really got me excited. Like the opening of the record with just like the acoustic eerie thing. I'm like, yo, that is so fucking cool. And then the last song, The Wars Part 2, it's like, that's the type of stuff that when I was younger, I'm like, I want to write that. I want to write something like that. And rest assured, Rick writes that. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, this is so fucking cool. And it was just like, oh wow, this is like part of a record that I like wanted to listen to when I was a kid. And that shit got me so excited. It got me so excited. And especially when we were writing the stuff that was like Black Mass, like it was liberating, because it wasn't, doing like a lot of hardcore stuff, like, necessarily limited, but once the guy started writing like all these riffs, I was like, this is like the type of shit that I feel like I was meant and always wanted to play. And it was exciting from the jump. It was just everything about it was just super exciting. Once like the band made the pivot, and it was just like, this is how we're going to do it. And seeing everybody else excited about it too, like seeing Rick excited about doing those riffs, is just like, oh man, like he's excited, I'm excited. Like it was just so cool. Like, and then the recording experience was really fun too. Stressful, but it was fun. It was just, that's really all it came down to, man. I mean, like riffs are fun. And that to me is what makes heavy music the best. And once that was the move, it was always just fun. Learning the songs that they're writing and coming up with cool parts to go within it it was just exciting.
Yeah. I mean, from a fan standpoint, that was the thing where I think it helped transitioning with having Weight of the World. I think, if that album wasn't there, it would have been a little weird for like, whoa, this is a completely different band, but I think there was still a little bit of that transition with that album. And then Black Mass, myself being a huge thrash, and that was kind of, I would credit Slayer and, thrash being how I really got into heavy music. And then, This Is Hell for the longest time was one of my favorite bands. And then Black Mass, I think you guys had like a countdown, didn't you? Like a website?
Yeah. Mass? That was really cool. Yeah. I think Rick and Travis would agree with you on that. I think Weight of the World was needed and important on the transition. And I mean, the record is fantastic in its own right. And then, the whole plan was to do, like, I don't remember who had the idea, but I remember the idea being super cool, and it was going really well. And like the aesthetic of what the band was trying to do, it was just exciting. Like I said, I keep saying it was exciting because, like, the goat head, like that was our logo to like push. We called it Sam Hell, and like that was our Eddie, like that was what we were going for. And like just doing that, whether it's gonna be big or not, it was just fucking awesome. It was so friggin' fun to be a part of. And then like I said, I think Weight of the World was definitely a good transition. And then once we just made the full bore into it, it was cool. It was really a fun process to record that type of stuff, because like, I think that was like the first time I was in it was the second time I was in LA recording a record, but I was like recording this like cool ass thrash record. It was something that'll always stick with me. You know what I mean? Because that was the music
for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It was difficult too, because I remember one of the other questions, like you wanted a memory of recording it. I had my buddy that lived out there. It's like a drum genius. And he always would come out if I was out there to like help me out with my stuff and everything like that. And the studio that we were at is a really, really well run and respected studio. And the guy had a snare, an 8x14 aluminum snare drum that he said the last record that it did was, it was on doll parts for Hole. Like it was used for that record. And I'm like, I want to fucking use it. Not necessarily thinking if an 8x14 is the best thing for this record, but I'm just like, I'm fucking using this. But I think we all listened to it. We're just like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. But because it's so deep, and as you can imagine, you get earshot after a while. My buddy Steve's in the booth, and he's just like, yo, do me a favor, check those snares for a second. And I checked the snares, and rest assured, they just got so loose that they weren't even on. And we finished like 4 songs, and we had to like chuck them all.
Oh.
And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And we all just like throw our hands up, like, all right, today's over. We're gonna start tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I woke up at like 6:30. It ran for like 45 minutes, and I'm like, all right, I need to get these 4 songs that were done as soon as possible again, so we could, gain back the time. But it was super weird. And then I remember I was recording the Light the Torch record out there, and I tried hitting up the studio again to see if I could get a hold of that snare drum, because I feel like that snare drum would have been perfect for that record. But he's like, no, I think Tommy Lee has it. I was like, all right. Like, yeah, no problem. You want to give me his number so I can grab it real quick? Like,
yeah, right. Maybe I can run it for a day. Or
it's just like, dude, I'm gonna need it for like 14 hours. Like, I think you can give it to me. Right? Not a big deal.
God, that's I have to ask, in tradition with everybody else, from that's been a part of This Is Hell, top 3 tracks, and then ultimately, what would you say is your favorite song?
All right, I'm sure I remember watching the other interviews. It's difficult to have 3, right? So it's cool if I don't have 3. I was looking at your questions, like ones that are exciting to play. I'll do those first. Like Purgatory, we played almost every show for like the first few years of the band, or whenever we wrote it. We played it almost every single show, and that song always gets me hyped because it's so goddamn fast, and it's just so fun. Right. To this day, Mummified is one of the first songs that I remember writing for the band, and whenever that first riff kicks in, it's just like,
wait, are you talking This Is Hell or?
Oh yeah, my bad. This Is Hell. Sorry. Oh yeah, what was this shit? Where did I write my list?
You said Mummified, and I'm like,
my bad. Yeah. Shit. Yeah. All right. Wars Part 2, I have to say, is my favorite This Is Hell song. Like, never played it live. Doesn't matter. Yeah. I think, and then I'll always go like off Misfortune's End of an Era is just, I think like a really just well written, well rounded, just really like every time I listen to it, I like get engulfed into it, and I think it's an awesome song, and I tell the guys that all the time. I think it's just a really, really good song.
Totally.
And like going back to like how the intro of Black Mass is just like super funny to me. Do you remember? Do you have the Enforcer?
Totally. Yeah.
Dude, the intro of the Flag of the Serpent. it's so goddamn cool. And like every time, I think we opened with it a couple of times, or maybe even for a while, and it was just like I would get super hyped to play that. Not even a song. It's just like just the coolest thing to play. And then
the 7-inch had like a Metallica cover on it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm trying to think what song it was now.
It's pathetic that I don't remember off the top of my head, but like I said, my memory is awful.
Not Whiplash? Was it Whiplash?
Yes, it was Whiplash. Yes.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was Whiplash.
It's been a while since I'll have to dig that up, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was definitely Whiplash, and we did that with Zeus, and man, he made us sound good. That shit was sick. That was sick. And then, I think back to stuff that I wasn't a part of in This Is Hell. Honestly, I really like The Search off the Warbirds EP. Like, I really liked playing that song. Like, that song was just really, really fast, fun, but super good riffs. And what else do I have here that I think is really cool? Death of World Class is a really, really fun song to play, too. So, I mean, like, I have songs that I'm married to that I was actually a part of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the songs that before me that'll always be fun. And obviously, like, you know, Permanence just will always be a fun song to play live. Always will get a reaction. And it's just, you know, it's definitely something that like will always stick with you. So, but I think at the end of the day, Wars Part 2, it's just like my favorite song. every time I listen to it, I just laugh my ass off because it's just like, this is fucking cool.
It's like making yourself nervous. Like, boy, this is, I'm just getting giddy fucking listening to that.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, this is it's weird. Like, because we never played it, and I like you forget it's there, but then I listen to it, I'm like, oh yeah, like this is like a Motorhead song, and fucking rules.
So sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, all right, here we go. Very good. I just switched angles. You know what I'm saying? My shit's all trying to die on me and all that. All right, so
no worries.
So from there we were talking the latter. This is hell, and then I wanted to break into a little bit with you know how Extinction A.D. came about. You guys had the first, let me see, Plague Prophecy, I think was the first EP.
Yep.
And then you had Faith Killer, the first full length, and then Decimation Treaty was the last full length. And I wanted to talk about, you know, your drum breakdown and what it was that you used for Decimation Treaty, you know, as far as what you had in the studio with that bad boy.
I'm trying to remember which kit I used. I either used Decimation Treaty. I used my Tama Birch Bubinga kit with the chrome mirror finish. And it was 10, 12, 14, 16, and then I added my 18 GMS floor tom. And you still there? Because I can't see you.
Oh, you can't?
No, it's all good. It's just
it
seems like it's buffering.
Oh, weird.
No worries. As long as you're there.
Yeah.
So then I was still using soul tone cymbals at the time. So I just had, I mean, I don't really use crashes that are under 20 inches. So every like 2 crashes, 2 O's, an ozone, a China. To be a dick, I use 2 rides, one on the left, one on the right, just for fun. And that's really all the setup. That's I mean, my setup's usually the same for most of the recording. It's usually 2 racks, 2 floors. I recently, like in the past, 5-6 years, started splitting the floor toms right and left just to save my shoulders and give me a little more ability to be creative with fills. Yeah, and that's usually it. The snare, I have 3 GMS snares that I'll change up every now and then. One's an ash and one's a maple, but lined with an aluminum spray solution.
Oh,
and
damn.
Yeah, it's called a Gms Revolution Snare, and that's got the overtones of aluminum, but it's got the warmth of the maple, and that always sounds really good. And for the longest time, I would use a 40 strands snare, but as time went on, I'm just it does. That's the kid in me that just wants bigger all the time. It doesn't necessarily sound. It doesn't necessarily sound that great. But yeah, so that's what I use. Always GMS snares, except for that Black Mass record. And then Tama is usually the go-to for drums for me. So.
Okay. How did you get introduced to soul tone for the cymbals?
They answered.
Touche.
They answered my email. That's basically how that went. I reached out when I was with Enwell, and that's when I got it. And, and then I just worked with them for quite some time, and then as time went on, you make relationships, keep relationships, and then you get different gear, work with different gear, all that stuff. So.
Yeah, nice. Okay. Yeah. And I've been seeing some things online as far as some writing and studio time with Extinction A.D. Do you have anything as far as a little bit of an update or what might be coming?
We got a little 3-4 song thing happening. When it's released, I don't know. Did a video, don't know when that's going to come out. But we've been busy.
Ooh,
definitely been super busy. Got our first show back post-pandemic on the 25th in Long Island, which is fucking exciting.
Who's that with?
I gotta look at the bill. Off the top of my head, I memory.
Damn. Well, no, that rocks either way. Shit.
I need the flyer in front of me. I don't remember off the top of my head. I know all the names are really goddamn cool.
Sweet. No, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then you guys also have a YouTube page.
I'm sorry, but what's that?
No, that's good. I said you guys also have a YouTube page that you just started. You had some videos.
We just to have some fun and just be visible and be busy. We just started doing like our own little round table called "It's Go Time, You Asshole." And it's just, I mean, we explain exactly what we do on it. So whoever is designated for that episode, we're just gonna do a tasting of a energy drink of their choice. Okay. And then a random topic to discuss, and that's it. And then it's going to be, 15, 20 minutes of everybody shitting on each other and making fun of each other, mainly me. And then, and then that's it. And it's going to be good, wholesome entertainment for a little bit.
I have to say, I had to message Pete because the part that it closes up on Tom and is a transition into another scene of him just fucking belching and his face being like all like crazy messed up, and oh my god,
that sounds about right.
I don't know if I've laughed that hard in a long time, like 2 tears. And I messaged Pete, I'm like, please tell me you're responsible for this shit. He's like, yep.
Yeah, he sure is. Yeah, man. Like, I don't know that there are many people that would be able to like be in the van with us and have any fucking clue what's going on. Like I couldn't even say it's like inside jokes. It's almost like an own language of At least with like with Rick and Tom, they have like their own language, and it's really fun to be around. To the point where I'm just like, who's saying and what are you talking about? Like, it's fun. It's definitely fun.
I mean, that's the part of where it's a completely different experience, like a different family experience being in a band and having that, having that relationship and, that rapport, that you don't even have with necessarily family, or loved ones or, a marriage. I mean, so that's always so cool. And I think seeing things like that and seeing some of the behind the scenes is always cool for fans too, where it's like, sometimes you have bands or you hear stories where it's like we fucking hated each other and this was miserable and we did the studio time as soon as we could, and then having a little bit of fun, that makes it, refreshing to see.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's always a good time. I mean, being on the road is kind of, it's what we all like just thirst for all the damn time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And,
right.
Even the worst parts are fun and funny.
They
are. And that's honestly one of the top reasons why I do it. I think why any of us do it. It really is just, it's the experience. It's the ability to kind of feel like you're living completely free. And it's just like, it's the best part in my opinion.
Yeah, totally. So before the finale here, I wanted to ask you, as far as, through all the years of traveling and being on the road and different things, what's something that you were either gifted or picked up, maybe even something that you bought while on the road that's just too cherishable to get rid of?
So, I did a tour with Mark Morton's solo project, right?
Okay.
It was Mark Morton's solo project and Light the Torch. And just got to know Marcus. He's a guitar tech. He's just an all-around tech, a stage dude for Mark Morton. And, he did stuff with Lamb of God, and like one of his good friends that he always teched for and that he hung out with was Vinnie Paul. He was friends with him and worked for him with Hell Yeah and all that shit. And like, we would just bro down and talk about Pantera. And I would always say how I was like, I've met, in passing, I met Lombardo practicing in LA. Like I've met a lot of the people that I would, hold in high regard for influence and just career. And I never got a chance to meet Vinnie Paul. Last show in Arizona was really fucking surreal now that I think about it, because Ellefson ended up playing because he guest spotted on one of those shows. So he was there.
Damn.
And then, and then all of a sudden, because Marcus I think he had a friend that brought him something or some stuff that he gave him from Vinnie Paul because he recently passed. And then right before we left, he's just like, "Yo, I have something for you." And I'm like, "What?" And he gives me Vinnie Paul's drumstick.
Oh my God.
And it's like, wait, what? Like it was a 2-week tour. Like we're not like the best of friends, but we bro down, and I think he's a great dude. And he handed me this, and it's legit. Like it's turned upside down. It's got the grooves ripped up in the taper, and it's like what the fuck? And like, I honestly I didn't know how to take it because it was not something I expected at all. And he just gave it to me, and I was just like, I looked at him, and like almost a single tear dropped down my fucking eye. Yeah, man. As soon as I bought my place, I bought a shadow box. I still didn't finish it yet because I'm fucking lazy. I bought a shadow box, and I blew up a picture of him, and I got his stick in a shadow box, and it's gonna be wherever the hell I live for the rest of my life, because that blew my mind. You know, it really did. And then going back to food and stuff like that, one of my good friends in Switzerland brought me a what the hell is it called? A raclette set, which is like the thing that you melt cheese on.
Oh, okay.
Because if you on Instagram and Facebook, you'll see that I always talk about eating cheese because I'm a slob. And she brought that to me, and it was just like, I'm like, you are the best. And now I have it in my house, and I try to use it from time to time.
A nice fondue.
Yeah, dude. Some stank cheese melting really make the house smell like a home,
Oh shit, that is. I mean, and two good stories. Both to wrap it up. That's hilarious as far as the cheese, but then the Vinnie Paul stick. That's so sick and something. I mean, completely. Yeah, that's huge and very cool of him too, because that was something. Dude, I mean, definitely. He didn't have to do.
It was a selfless thing, and I did not expect it. And to this day, it's probably one of the nicest things anyone's ever done to me. So, Mark, well, baby, thank you. Okay. That was some really, really monumental shit for me. Like, it was really cool.
Yeah, so sick. Wow. So now a finale here. I was trying to conjure up a couple of things. Some of the things that in my research that I've come across in personal interests and things like that. So I wanted to ask you, as far as if you could choose introduction music for any athlete or team, a song from any band that you've ever recorded with, something that you were a part of, who would you want to be introduced to for coming out to a game or maybe a fight, and what song would they have playing?
Shit. Oh my god. All right, so like one of my favorite teams, what I would want them to come out to?
Yep. But it's got to be something that you were a part of.
Oh, that one of the bands that I wrote, that I recorded. Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right, so I will say this. Rick is a huge wrestling fan, so is Travis, right?
Yeah.
As you know. There was a point in time where at least I was convinced. I mean, I'm sure Rick was just like, it'll never happen. The Last Outlaw.
Okay.
I really wanted CM Punk to decide to come out to that.
Oh shit! Damn, that's sick.
I thought that just made total sense, and I'm not even remotely a shred as close as big as a wrestling fan as those dudes. But I follow them, and I love how excited they get about it, and I find it super interesting. I think it's all cool. And during that time, like, everyone, like, we're chatting with, like, they're chatting with their friends that are wrestlers, and all this cool shit. And then we see, like, CM, like, he has Living Color come out, like, do their shit. And I'm like, yeah, wouldn't it be rad if he came out to the Last Outlaw? Because that was the time when he was just, like, rebelling against the WWE and stuff.
Yeah,
and
right.
I'm like, this makes, I mean, how is it not going to happen? Like, this makes total sense. And then, God, I don't know. I mean, the Jets suck, and they're my favorite football team, so I don't really care what they come out to.
Just come out, really please.
Cool. Yeah, right. I mean, Travis would love one of our songs to play, like, for the Islanders, because if like Pantera has the Dallas Stars song.
Yeah. Yeah.
Darkest Hour, I think, had something playing for the Caps for a while. So,
damn, really?
Yeah, if you look it up on
That's
YouTube,
sick.
they have
Holy shit.
they have a Capital song. It's fucking rad too. I think it would be cool as shit to have, like, Rangers or Islanders come out to an Extinction A.D. track, because I mean, thrash and fucking ice hockey. That's a
hell yeah.
That's as American as spaghetti and meatball. If you're comfortable with that
analogy. Pizza and a cola, or however people, soda. I don't know what people say in the South. Whatever the politically correct term is for a pop.
chicken sandwich and mayo, whatever the, I don't know. Name your fucking name your amazing combination. Cholesterol and anger. I don't know. What the fuck?
Oh my god. Oh, dude. Well, look, man, this has been absolutely awesome. I truly
had a good time, man. Thank you for having me.
The technical issues and my shit dying and all that, but
it's all good, brother.
Really, really cool. I really appreciate time, and I look forward to the stuff that you got coming up, man. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me. And yeah, just everybody keep an eye out for Extinction A.D. stuff on all platforms. Go listen to it more. And band's working. And we're going to be having some shit happening. So
sweet.
Stay tuned.
Can't wait, man. Can't wait to see what's up. So very, very cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Horror guy.
It's been fun.
My dude, Mike Scuzz Sciulara, correct?
Yes, sir. You got it right.
Yes. All right. That's all I needed.
All right, brother. Have a good one,
right, man. Yeah, you too. Take care.
He's a lo-fi horror guy. Yeah, he's kind of a guy, but he is so lo-fi a horror guy. Yeah. Lo-fi horror guy has been recorded in front of a live studio audience.